Daredevil Born Again is a true example of what can be accomplished by comic books in storytelling. What is up? I'm the G.I. Joel, and I love comic books. And if you love comics too, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notification to join the G.I. Joel Nation. Now, Daredevil Born Again is really a comic that doesn't need too much of an introduction, because it is truly a one-of-a-kind masterpiece by Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli. And there really are a lot of things that set Born Again apart when it comes to other stories. But for me, one of the things that truly makes it an excellent comic is the use of visual symbolism as well as symbolism throughout the writing. When it comes to the themes, first thing we're going to focus on is the writing. And there are a lot of parallels drawn between our main characters. Parallels between Kingpin and Daredevil, between Karen Page and Ben Ehrlich, between Captain America and Nuke. And all of these stories kind of run alongside of each other and intersect at different points. And it makes for a really fascinating story because each character is affected by the events that are taking place in different ways. And each of them have their own personal struggles that they are facing due to kind of what's happening in Hell's Kitchen, around Matt, and everything else in between. Now, there is a lot of Catholic symbolism and heavy spirituality in this book, but even if you're not a believer in those things, these stories can still really resonate with you and kind of are truer on a deeper level of humanity. And we start off with Matt, and we kind of see his progression just from the title pages of the story, from the title of what the names are, Armageddon, Pariah, Born Again, Saved, and then the images that are kind of going along with it. We see him slowly curdling into a fetal position until eventually he is reborn. And we start off the story, and Matt is quite literally crucified. He's not only crucified, by Kingpin, but by Karen Page, the person that he loved the most in this world. He has everything in his life taken from him, his home, his job, his friends, his family, and he lashes out initially in anger at Kingpin, the man he knows is responsible. But when he first goes up to Kingpin, he is utterly beaten and almost killed. Now, there are a lot of reasons behind this. He simply attacks Kingpin from a place of revenge and hatred, not from his usual stance of doing what is right and in pursuit of justice. And he is completely broken at this point when he first faces up against Kingpin. He has gone completely paranoid. He doesn't trust anyone. He doesn't even trust Foggy Nelson, his closest friend and business partner. He just assumes that everyone is out to get him and that everyone is working on behalf of the Kingpin. And the main thing that's happening to Matt, and what makes it so unjust and so wrong, is he's not suffering from anything that he himself has done wrong. He hasn't done anything wrong as Daredevil. He hasn't done anything wrong as Matt Murdock. Even Fisk says that he is truly the only good man that he knows. No, Daredevil suffers because of the sins of Karen Page. And that's actually why this story begins with focusing on none other than Karen. After going to California to hopefully become a movie star, Karen is at the very bottom of the ladder. She is a drug addict. She has been starring in pornographic films, and her life is utterly destroyed. And she hits such a low point, such a rock bottom, that she trades the one thing that she has left in her soul that has any true meaning. And that is Matt Murdock's greatest secret, that he is the Daredevil. And she does all of this not for any kind of redemption or for anything truly of meaning. She does it for one more hit. She does it because she is a drug addict and just needs another fix to get her through the day. And because of this ultimate sin on her behalf, Karen also spends the rest of this time struggling and fighting to get to New York, to get to Matt, to let him know that it was her that betrayed him, to let him know that it's her fault and that who exactly is going to be coming after him. We see Matt rushing to help Karen, to stop her from taking that final hit that would have just killed her and ended everything. And in one of the most raw emotional images ever drawn in comics, we see them just completely collapse into each other's arms in a loving embrace that really speaks volumes just as a single image. And ultimately we see that Matt's unending love for Karen, his unconditional love for her, allows him to forgive her unquestioningly of all of her wrongs. And through his forgiveness and saving of Karen, he himself is able to be saved as well. The other characters that are heavily affected by the events of what's happening to Matt would be Ben Ehrlich. Now, Ben, of course, knows the secret of Matt's, alter identity, the Daredevil. He knows that they are one and the same. And for this reason, he knows the truth. He knows deep in his soul, and he knows for a fact that Matt is a good man. And the things being done to him, the allegations against him, the criminal charges brought up against him are all false and have no ground. But because of his fear of the pure evil of the man that is Kingpin, Ben Ehrlich, is silenced. Through the threats against his own life, against the life of his wife, he is unable to speak. He is unable to do the one thing that he says he always is. I am a reporter, and I tell the truth, and that is the one thing he cannot do. So through the punishment of Matt at the hands of Kingpin, another good man is destroyed. Throughout this story, Kingpin is quite literally the embodiment of evil. He uses all of his influence, all of his power, and all of his connections to destroy one single person, for one single vendetta, to destroy Matt Murdock. And he even says it's not because Matt Murdock is Daredevil. Daredevil, it really hasn't cost Kingpin much in the grand scheme of his operation and the grand scheme of the criminal underworld. Daredevil is little more than an annoyance to him. No, he seeks out to destroy Daredevil, to destroy Matt Murdock, because that is the only good man that he knows. And he does everything in his power to destroy him. He does everything that he can to ruin his life. His hatred for Matt for being a good man goes so far that he's willing to do all of this on the word of a drug addict. To do this on something that he does or does not even know if it's 100% true. And we kind of see Kingpin's evil and his power kind of come to a culmination in the final 2 issues of Born Again. Now, in these issues, the story takes a much more, directly political kind of statement and political turn when we involve Nuke and Captain America. Now, Kingpin not only uses his influence to get the agent known as Nuke to come to New York, but also uses manipulation and lies and perversion of patriotic symbols in order to control Nuke to destroy Hell's Kitchen. Miller is taking a very direct stance and a very direct critique of the military-industrial complex. He uses Kingpin to manipulate Nuke, who is kind of representative of America's military might, and he uses patriotism and these perversion of American symbols to control Nuke and to get him to do what he wants. And this is where Captain America really comes in, and where Captain America sees Nuke and takes pity on him. He's not enraged, he's not hateful, he is sorry for him, because he sees that Nuke in many ways is a perversion of himself. Not only is Nuke an American soldier, but he is a super soldier in the line of Captain America. And the real parallel drawn between these two is that Captain America represents the American dream. That is what he is loyal to, whereas Nuke is more representative of the American reality. Another big aspect of the symbolism of the story is through the visual cues. We can start off with, like I said, the actual cover pages as we see Matt slowly becoming destroyed and then reborn as the Daredevil once more. He is literally reborn in fire. We have the symbol of Matt and Karen embracing one another, and that their unconditional love is their root of redemption. And then after his fall, we quite literally see Matt as the crucifix. And like I said, there's a lot of heavy Christian symbolism, because much like Jesus was in the tomb for 3 days, Matt was recovering for a period of time in the church, much like a tomb. And of course, the iconic image of Sister Maggie holding Matt is very reminiscent of the Pietà. All of these things are what make Born Again truly a fantastic book, with one really amazing message: that redemption is possible for anybody, no matter how far they have fallen. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification to join the G.I. Joel Nation. And I'll see ya in the next video.